Right, we're here at the Property Investor Show with David Sandeman, Managing Director of EI Group. David, your company specialises in auction property.
Indeed, yes.
So can you tell us first of all a little bit about you, yourself,
right.
What's your background?
Yes, I bought my first property at auction in about 1983, and throughout the 80s I was buying and selling in London, sometimes through estate agents, sometimes at auction, developing property, built some new houses. But towards the end of that period, I was getting frustrated in not knowing what was happening in the auction industry. There was no central resource of information, so I thought I'll set one up. And the Essential Information Group was born in May of 1990.
Right. Okay, so you've been going quite a long time.
21 years, yes.
21 years, wow. And what sort of changes have you seen in that time? Has there been an explosion of interest in the auction market?
Very much so. I think our service made the information available to members of the public. So in the 80s, auctions were the preserve of dealers. It was all dealers, no public were almost not admitted, and they couldn't really find out what was going on. Our service and the auctioneers as well have gone out of their way to allow general members of the public the opportunity to see what's coming up for sale at auction and to have the information they need. And of course the internet has really played into our hands, where now we can download legal documents, catalogues, etc., and indeed follow auctions online. So it really has opened it up to the wider market.
And what kind of information does your company provide?
Okay, if you like, we're a national auction portal, a little bit like Rightmove. We've got information on every single property coming to auction in the future. It's a fully searchable database. And also, and this is key really for people looking to buy at auction, we've got information on every property which has sold at auction since 1990, so about 500,000 lots. And where that helps you as a buyer, you might see a property coming to auction, it's got a guide price of 150, that means that's where the reserve is going to be set. You want to know what you might have to bid. What we can do is tell you what similar things have sold for at auction recently, so you get an idea what the auction market value is, which might be very different to the private treaty market. So it gives you, it's a real resource of information, and of course in a split second you'll know what's coming up for auction as well, so you maximise your choice.
And in terms of your clients, what's the sort of split? Are they mainly investors that are buying multiple properties, or do they tend to be just people looking for one property for themselves?
We've got a complete range. I think the common theme is they're all interested in doing business at auctions. So it may be, I've just given a seminar and I know some of my clients are in there, and they're looking to buy 1 or 2 properties a year, but they want to have the information they need. Others, I've got all the major property companies are on board, banks use us, and people who are buying hundreds of properties a year at auction. But what they like about us is the fact that it's good quality, clear, concise information they can retrieve very, very easily.
And what's the cost of your service?
The cost is £395 plus VAT for a year. If you want 6 months, it's 220 plus VAT, or 3 months is 125.
And is there a support line for people phoning?
Very much so, yes. In fact, we don't take registrations online. We want to, make sure that auctions are right for people. So if somebody phoned up and said they're looking to buy a property with no money down, we'd say, thank you for your inquiry, but really auctions aren't for you. You do need to have a reasonable amount of equity to operate in the market, and we want to make sure they know how to use the site, they understand how the site works, and also to help them set up what we call an auction alert, so that, for instance, if they're interested in buying a flat in South London, we would show them how to set it up so that as soon as one comes to the auction market and is on our database, we would email them and tell them about it, and when it's been through the room, tell them what it sold for, and if it didn't sell, what the reserve was. So it's very personal service. We encourage people to speak to us.
That's absolutely super. And how many branches do you have nationwide? Are you on the high street, or are you?
No, we're not on the high street. We're based in Surrey. We follow every single auction house in the country, about 350 auctioneers nationwide, 35,000 lots a year, and all our services are delivered, all our services are delivered via our internet site, eigroup.co.uk.
Okay, David, could you give us, in a nutshell, your top 5 tips for people if they want to buy at auction?
Certainly, Sarah. First thing is maximise your choice. If you only know about one property coming for sale, that's the only one you can buy, and I suggest you look on our website and we'll tell you about every possible property which matches your criteria. That's tip number 1. Secondly, you've got to know the history of the property. Has it been to auction before? Has it got defects? Is it one of the properties which can't sell at auction? Again, you must know that, otherwise you can spend a lot of money researching the property to no avail. And that's really my next tip, is you've got to do your homework on the property. Check the legal documentation, that's online. View the property. It's amazing the number of flats which are on the market now which are advertised as 2-bedroom flats, but if you look at the lease plan, they're only a 1-bedroom flat. That's the kind of thing, so you must view the property and do your research. Thirdly, is understand the guide price. A lot of people think that the guide price is an estimate as to what the auctioneer thinks the property is going to sell for. It's not. It really isn't that. What it is, the guide price is a very good indication as to where the reserve is going to be set and where you could buy the property. But I see a lot of properties where the guide price might be £150,000 and the reserve is 150, and yet it sells for 250. So don't rely on the guide price as to what you might have to pay for it. Again, our site would tell you, give you a good indication. The fourth point is to do your due diligence. Here, what I'm saying is look at the legal pack, make sure the property is what you think you're buying, inspect it, view it, make sure it's the same what you think it is in the catalogue, and make sure there's no snakes in the grass in the legal documentation. There's no restrictive covenants, that if you think you're buying a two-bedroom flat, it's shown as a two-bedroom flat in the lease plan, etc. And all the things you do prior to exchanging contracts on a house if you're buying in the private treaty market. The fifth and final point is, and it's really important in today's market, is arrange your finance. Gone are the days of just walking into a bank and helping yourself to the money behind the till. You have to make sure you've got the money, the finance in place. What a lot of our clients are doing now is buying the property with bridging finance. Companies like Auction Finance can do that for you, and then that gives them a bit of breathing space to go and organise the exit finance further down the line. But don't think that you can just go and buy a property at auction and get the finance. There may well be restrictions put on it. If it's unmodernised, some mortgage companies won't lend you the money. It's a real nightmare at the moment getting finance. Do have that in place. In fact, that could almost be the most important one.
Okay, David, so you've given us your tips for buying at auction.
Yeah.
What about for people who want to sell their house at auction? What are your top tips?
Right, top tips. With any sale, prepare the house for sale. Make it as attractive as you can. It might be modernised, but if it is unmodernised, maybe show people how they could easily get the potential out of the property. That's the first point. Secondly, is what attracts people to buy at auction is a low guide price and reserve. So even if you've got to take a bit of a risk here, the lower the guide price, the more interest you'll have in the property, the more bidders in the room who will push the price up. It may sound perverse, but actually lower is better. You will get more bidders with a low guide price. Thirdly, choose an auction house which you think can do a good job. Don't just go for somebody who offers you the lowest fees. You want somebody who can maximise the final sale price. I saw a property the other day offered by one auction house. It failed to sell. The top bid was £72,000. The vendor took it out, put it in another auction house, and it sold for £85,000 a month later. Huge difference, £13,000 difference. You don't want your house going down by that. Bad choice of auction house first time, good choice second time. Really, really important. And finally, and this is really important as well, is have your legal pack ready prior to instructing the auction house. Nothing is worse than only getting all your legal documentation together the day before the auction. You've got to give people a chance to look at the legal pack prior to auction and give them as much time as possible. So really we see that where the legal pack's been available throughout the entire marketing period, the properties generally do better, and it is a most important point that.